Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on one of the most important divisional chart, which is the D-4 chart or the Chaturtamsha chart. So friends, a lot of you have been asking me about the prospects of spirituality and the questions, repetitive questions pertaining to the property and real estate, whether in this year I will be able to buy my own house or not. So I just thought, why should not we have a discussion on this divisional chart as well, because this video might prove to be very fruitful, very informational for all those people who are in this quest, in this path of self-realization, spiritual path, or anything to do with the matters of the fourth house. So getting a deeper insight or assessment of this chart definitely is going to provide you a lot of information. So friends, we will briefly cover the importance of this chart, and I will also try to give you some sort of celebrity reference chart as well to explain the importance of this divisional chart. And friends, one more thing, because many times people in the consultation, they also ask me this question, whether I am at the right place or if I am going to migrate far away from the birthplace or to a foreign country, my luck or my fortune is going to help me. So even all of these nature of queries might also get answered just by watching this video or doing a kind of a assessment of the D4 chart or this Chaturtamsha divisional chart. So okay friends, to begin with, as you know this thing that all these divisional chart just provides the supplementary or elaborative information pertaining to one specific area of our life. In the case of this chart, this provides the deeper and elaborative information of the fourth house of your main ascendant chart. Now friends, fourth house is a very important house. Many times people overlook it or undermine it, but you do not understand. Like if you will look at the life of successful, wealthy, famous celebrities, they have acquired the success because of a strengthened 10th house or 11th house or 9th house or the first house. And if you will look deeper into their personal life, you will get to know that, oh my god, irrespective of having all the wealth, all the fame, they are still living a very terrible, a very miserable life. So all of that answer can be acquired from an afflicted fourth house, because an afflicted fourth house is definitely going to create a turmoil in the matters of the deep inner emotional state. So now friends, jumping straight to our discussion about the importance of the D4 chart. So now friends, definitely to begin with, this chart first of all tells about the prospects of your real estate property in this lifetime, how much you will gain, you will benefit on the account of properties. Second thing is that anything on the matters of the self-realization, because friends, you cannot overlook this fact that this chart is the corresponding divisional chart of the fourth house, which is one of the Moksha bhava. So because of which, whether you talk about what is your driving force, what drives you more, your inner emotional state, is it the wealth, is it the truth, is it the wisdom, is it the knowledge? So all of that can be acquired via a deeper scrutinization of the D4 chart. And lastly friends, definitely the kind of benefits, the kind of nourishment, the kind of relationship you have with your mother, all of that can be decoded while looking at this D4 chart. Now friends, few things which I want to clear over here, because these days all the softwares are going to calculate these divisional charts by themselves, but you have to understand the way it has been decoded. So just because in order to get the D4 chart, we have to make a 4 division of your Rashi chart, like 4 division of 7 degree 30 minutes each. So now what is going to be happening is that from your main ascendant chart, one of the Kendra Bhava sign only is going to rise in the first house of your D4 chart. So that can also give you this insight that your deeper inner emotional state is deeply attached or connected to which house or which sign in this lifetime. So friends, to start with, the first house of the D4 chart just tells about your focus, the focus of your inner emotional happiness and state. When we look at the deeper inner self of yours, what kind of information we can get to know, like whether we talk about your relationship of nourishment from your mother or anything to do with your driving force, all of that can be assessed while looking at what sign is over here, what kind of planets are present over here. That is going to give us a complete theme or an overview regarding the matters of your deep inner emotional state. The second thing is that, friends, the moment you are going to enter the second house, so this house becomes very important whether you are working as a realtor, or second house is the house of kind of gains, like the kind of values. So even if you are a kind of person who is on a spiritual path, so how much you are going to gain via sticking to this path is something which we can get to know from the second house. The moment you are going to come to the third house, so now friends, third house is the house of the self efforts. So whether you are in this path of spirituality, in this path of self-realization, or whether you're working as a realtor, because this house also tells about the matters of property, so income from the rental properties, or having acquiring a lot many properties due to your own self efforts. You did not acquire anything out of inheritance, you acquired everything out of your own diligent efforts. So all of that we can get to know from the third house, the strength of your emotions. Now the moment you are going to come to the fourth house, a very important house, because this is going to tell about the place where you are born. Are you going to get the success over there? How much you are going to acquire in terms of the land, property, real estate, your deeper inner emotional state, driving factor, all of that can be acquired from the fourth house of your D4 chart. Now friends, even when we talk about the connected significator planets, so the significator planets of the D4 chart are, first is the moon, which is the significator of your emotions, your feelings, Mars, which is the significator of property, and Jupiter and Venus, because D4 chart also tells about the prospects of sukh, the contentment which you are going to acquire in this lifetime, all the mediums or mode of conveniences, comforts and luxury. Are you going to benefit out of them or not? And friends, try to understand this thing. Many times what happens is that irrespective of how much money you are making, but if you're not going to have that yoga in your chart, your servants, your family members might be enjoying all the wealth, all the benefits, all the comforts, all the conveniences, and you might be posted, or you might be living in such a far away places, being deprived of all these comforts and conveniences. So you need to have those yogas in your own chart as well. Now friends, coming to the fifth house, definitely friends, fifth house is the house of the past life merits. So definitely it is definitely going to have a say, like your inner emotional state. Where is it going to push you? Let's say for example, if the fourth house lord in the D4 chart is going to be placed in the fifth house, so your inner emotions are definitely going to take you to the path of devotion, path of bhakti. And let's say for example, if you are working in the fields of real estate, so fourth house, like from the fourth house, fifth house is second from it, it is the gain out of it. So you might be making a fortune while working as a realtor. So all of that information can be acquired while decoding the fifth house of your D4 chart. Now friends, the moment you are going to enter the sixth house, that is going to tell you about the kind of struggles, the kind of strife your inner emotional state has to go through. Let's say for example, all those people who are always in this agitated emotional state, they are never at peace, or their source of misery is always some sort of opposition, some sort of resistance which they are all the time facing. So all of that you can get to know from the scrutinization of the sixth house of your D4 chart. Now friends, the moment you are going to enter the seventh house, now friends, this house becomes very important, because in a way your inner emotional state and the wires of it might be connected to your life partner, or let's say for example, working in the fields of real estate, in a partnership business, or acquiring majority of your wealth and source of conveniences and comforts and luxury because of the arrival of your partner. So all of that we can get to know from the scrutinization of the seventh house, the contribution of partnership and its impact or influence on your deeper inner emotional state. Now friends, the moment you are going to enter the 8th house, it is a very sensitive and pivotal house, because one aspect of the 8th house is also the house of research, sadhana, and devoting yourself to the path of moksha, truth, enlightenment. And there is one aspect of 8th house which is very dreaded, which is very negative, which could also take you towards all sort of self-affliction and self-abuse as well. So this is something which you have to scrutinize with a pinch of salt. Now friends, coming to the 9th house. Now friends, 9th house is a very important house, like the way when we talk about any connection in your D4 chart of your 4th house lord with the 5th house or the 9th house is a very good indication that your inner emotions are either divine protected or going to keep you firm on the right path only. Now friends, if we talk about the 10th house, so now friends, it is a little bit sensitive house, because as you can see that when we talk about the 10th house, there is a lot of dutifulness which comes over here, and just because it is 7th from the 4th house, so it might also tells about, you know, the time when you have to change the residences, change the property, frequent changes in your place of residence, or just because of your duties you might not be able to be at peace or being grounded in life. So all of that information we can acquire from the scrutinization of the 10th house. Now friends, the moment you are going to come to the 11th house, it is a very important house. Any combination of your first house lord in the D4 chart or the 4th house lord in the D4 chart with the 11th house just tells about the wish fulfillment or your inner emotional state taking you, driving you in the right path. Now this could be for a person who is materially driven, lot of, you know, medium of luxury, lot many gain of properties, or a life filled with riches, or someone whose life is devoted to the path of spirituality, lot of gain in the fields of self-realization, gaining lot many siddhiya. So from that perspective, 11th house is definitely going to play a very pivotal role. And lastly friends, if you're going to enter the 12th house, so now friends, 12th house again is a house of moksha, and it has got a very dual connotation over here. For anything to do the self-realization, settling down away from your birthplace, foreign land residentship, this can be seen as a very good sign. And when we talk about your deeper inner emotional state, being delusional, being confused, being misled, so this can give lot many possibilities. It all comes down to that whether your first house lord in the D4 chart, 4th house lord in the D4 chart is connected with the 12th house, and in which dignity planets are going to be present over there. So that is friends a overview regarding the signification of all the 12 houses of your D4 chart. Now friends, when we talk about the deities or the gods which preside over this divisional chart, so they are the 4 mind-born sons of the Lord Brahma. So like Lord Brahma, out of the trine Hindu gods, Lord Brahma, which is worshipped as the creator of the universe. So now friends, the 4 Kumaras or the sons of the Lord Brahma which preside over this divisional chart can be understood in a way that you make this chart while making a 4 divisions of the Rashi, 4 divisions of 7 degree 30 minutes. First division is from 0 to 7 degree 30 minutes. Second is from 7 degree 30 minutes to 15 degree. Third is from 15 degree to 22 degree 30 minutes. And fourth is the from 22 degree 30 minutes to 30 degree. So the first division is going to be presided over by the Sanak, which represents the Samkhya. Like Samkhya is a field or sect of spirituality where you have to give lot of attention towards the spiritual principles of gaining and sharing with the world. Now when we talk about the second division friends, over here Sanandana preside over as the deity, where you have to put lot of emphasis on the yoga. So if you will find that your your 4th house lord in the main ascendant chart as well, it is placed in this second division. It is placed in between friends from 7 degree 30 minutes to 15 degree. So being placed in this division which is being presided over by this Kumara, which is known as the Sanandana, it is definitely going to drive you towards the path of the yoga. The third discipline friends or division, which is from the 15 degree to 22 degree 30 minutes, is being presided over by the Sanat Kumar, which represents the path of tapas. So here we talk about discipline, here we talk about hardship which a soul has to go through in the pursuit of the self-realization. And last friends, from 22 degree 30 minutes to the 30 degree is the Sanatana, like one of the Lord Brahma's son, which represents the path or the field of spirituality where you have to sacrifice a lot, because this is the path of Vairagya. So now friends, after giving you an insight of this divisional chart, we get to know that for anything to do regarding the matters of your inner emotional state, the prospects of contentment, the prospects of real estate, properties, a life filled with luxury, wealth, or being deprived of that. So all of that we get to know from the scrutinization of this D4 chart. The house which is making a intimate connection from the main Lagna chart and becoming a first house in the D4 chart is also going to contribute towards your inner emotional cravings and contentment. Now friends, some of the example reference chart which I wanted to present in front of you before we will wrap up this video. So friends, again, one thing which I want to clear over here is that let's not debate over the accuracy of the birth details. That is the only reason I am always skeptical of using any celebrities chart, because rather than being focusing on the principles, everyone start getting in this mode of debating over whether the birth details or the ascendant is accurate or not. So let's not stick to that thing. Our main objective right now over here is to see and learn the principles of this divisional chart. So okay friends, first is the case of the Donald Trump. Now I take the example of Donald Trump because as you can see that Donald Trump, before becoming the president of the United States, he was the one of the major real estate person in not only in United States but even in the whole world. So because of his mastery over this field of real estate, I just first wanted to see what kind of information we can get to know from his D4 chart. So now friends, as you can see over here, if you will see the D1 chart, the ascendant chart. So in the ascendant chart, he is born with the Leo rising. Mars is present right over there in his first house, which tells about his temper, his outburst. And if you will look into his fourth house in the main ascendant chart, he has Moon and Ketu being conjunct over there. So Moon is not only debilitated, it is conjunct with Ketu as well. That could be one of the reasons that his personality is that he is kind of a person who will never forget. Here I'm not talking about his intentions. He could be a very good businessman, very good politician, very good administrator. But here the thing is that if you have done wrong to him, no matter how much years have gone by, but he will remember and he will strike back. That is the kind of signification which we get to know from the presence of the Moon and Ketu in the fourth house. And also friends, when we talk about the conjunction in the fourth house of this type, that also tells about that in the matters of the property, real estate, something which he might have acquired in inheritance as well because of the presence of the Ketu being placed over there. So friends, that is the kind of state of his D1 chart. The moment you are going to open his D4 chart, so friends, we are going to have the same alignment or placement of the Leo again as the rising sign, and you can see that his Moon, Mars and Ketu now are being present right over there in his first house. And even in the D4 chart, Mars has got the rulership of his fourth house as well. So definitely when we talk about his mastery in this field of property, real estate, and being a very big business tycoon in this field, so that is something friends which you can see with this kind of strengthened power pack combination which is taking place in his chart, which is not only making him successful in his field but also proving the resonance of acquiring all of this big business in inheritance from his family as well. Now friends, the second chart is like, after looking at Donald Trump's chart specifically from the perspective of the real estate and kind of properties, which could be one of the application of the D4 chart. Now let's look at a very humanitarian side of your emotions and feelings. So I feel very proud to present the chart of one of my favorite actor, which is Keanu Reeves. So now friends, as you can see in his chart, because he has this public image of being a philanthropic, being very humble, being a people's person. So as you can see in his D1 chart, so friends, in his D1 chart, he has Leo rising over here with Sun and Mercury being placed over there. But again friends, when we talk about being a true philanthropic and humanitarian and being very humble, all of these qualities you get from a strengthened Saturn in the chart. And if you will see in his 7th house, he has a very well placed Saturn over here. So that in itself makes him very humble and very serviceful and a true charitable person. Now friends, if you look at the 4th house of his D1 chart, so we all know that in his personal life he has faced lot many setbacks, lot many family deaths, and all these unpleasing and terrible incidents. So if you will see in his D1 chart, the 4th house lord, which is Mars, is kind of conjunct with Moon and Rahu in the 11th house. So his Moon is definitely in a very agitated state, and that is one of the reason why people and the whole world appreciate him, that irrespective of facing so many toxic experience, so many setbacks and unfortunate extreme incidents, that did not make him toxic, rather it made him a gem, and it made him a true philanthropic who can actually empathize the plight and pain of other people. So that is something, friends, which we can see from his D1 chart. Now the moment you are going to open the D4 chart, so now friends, over here he has like Aquarius rising over there in the 1st house. So that in itself tells about that from his main ascendant chart, friends, it's 7th house only, which became the 1st house in the Chaturtamsha chart. So again, friends, emotions, feelings. When we talk about the complete synopsis or the theme of this chart, D4 chart, which is about emotions, which is about feelings, inner emotional state. In his case, his emotions are all driven towards humanitarianism. And friends, if you will see in the 4th house, you will see the placement of Jupiter and Saturn, and that too in the Taurus sign. So Taurus is the original sign of finances, so making use of wealth for all the charitable causes and not becoming kind of egoistic or arrogant or very pompous out of all the good deeds which you are doing in the community or the society. That is something, friends, which we can see with this kind of alignments, because friends, even in the D4 chart, the 4th house lord is and has gone to the 6th house of service. At the end, friends, I'm going to present my chart as well as a reference that how your destiny could be connected to the far away foreign lands, because in many charts you will get this combination when people ask that whether my destiny or my fortune is connected with being away from my birthplace or not. So all of that questions can be answered while looking at the D4 chart only. Trust me, friends, growing up, I still remember all of my family astrologers, they used to say the same thing, that your fortune or your destiny is connected to far away foreign lands. And I used to get surprised, because from my father's side or from my mother's side, no one has ever migrated or relocated to a foreign country, that too on their own. So I always used to doubt this thing, but trust me, friends, ever since I moved to Canada is such a loving and happy country, and overall, like the way my life has progressed, all areas of my life has improved. Trust me, I can fairly see the resonance coming out of my own chart. So now, friends, if you will see in my ascendant chart, you can fairly see that my ascendant lord is very much strengthened in the 8th house. That in itself tells about destiny being connected far away from the birthplace. The second thing is that the moment you are going to open the D4 chart, so you will see that I have a Cancer rising over here. The lord of my 1st house of the D4 chart is exalted in the 11th house. Now, I do not know about the wealth or riches perspective, but definitely I find this kind of inner emotional happiness or contentment, or I find myself at peace whenever I am listening to the chantings or the mantras or anything connected to religion or the devotion. But again, friends, now if you will see in my 4th house, my 4th house is afflicted because Sun is debilitated over there. But the 4th house lord, which is Venus, it is again very well placed in the 8th house of far away foreign places, or in the 8th house you will see the alignment and conjunction of all the planets, which can be seen as a very good sign, being in the path of spirituality, being in the path in the direction of heading towards the truth, self-realization, enlightenment, or being away, or your destiny or your abode being connected to being away from your birthplace. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.